Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 9/11 emergency series where we come every other week throughout the month to bring forward whatever is happening within our society. What is the emergent need? What is the conversations that's going on? And so we have been hosting these shows for pretty much since the beginning of COVID. So somewhere around March or April, we began hosting the shows, and we've had a variety of topics in which we have covered. We began with first responders and nurses, and we have had conversations about school, whether you're administrators or you're actually students and their families. We've had families on. That was a hilarious show. We have had individuals who contracted COVID and were recovering from COVID. And so just across the gamut, we've also just had ladies on sharing how to rise above what it is that we're facing throughout life and the challenges. And so I have the privilege of coming before you a couple of times a month to just have authentic conversations, pertinent conversations that we can live, being the highest and best expression of ourselves, that we can walk out during this time, maximizing our time, maximizing our strength, maximizing our efforts. And so this evening is not different. This evening is a continuation of relevant conversations. We run a Facebook group called Being Brilliant. This is a place where you can walk in and announce that you're brilliant. You can walk in and announce that you're strong in this area. You can walk in and announce that this is how you've been graced, this is how you've been strengthened, and expect that you're going to be celebrated. You're going to be celebrated for your genius, for your amazingness. You're going to be celebrated for the unique gift that you are to God's universe. And so it's a place where we've created where you can come and land and not feel a need to dim your light, not feel a need to turn your dial down. But our anticipation is that you will walk into this group, turn your light up to brilliance, and break the darn dial, that you're never, ever tempted to dial it down again. And so this evening, I have the privilege of having Mrs. Clarissa Foster with us. We ran a challenge. A couple of weeks we ran a challenge, and the challenge was simply to show up in the group and to announce your brilliance. How is it that you are brilliant? And we basically took 3 top winners, and Clarissa was one of those winners. And I am so super excited to share with you what is her unique contribution to God's universe. How does she show up? What does she do like no one else does? Look, beloved, let me tell you this. At the moment when Abba gave you his breath, you gave up the right to not be amazing. And let me tell you why you gave up the right to not be amazing. Because there is a combination of elements, of gifts, of strengths in you that's in no one else. You got a portion of God's breath that no one else got. Clarissa got a portion of God's breath that no one else got. Tonight, we're going to talk about her portion of the breath, of God's breath. But before we do that, we're going to bring our resident self-care specialist in, Dr. Joy Creel. We're going to have her come in. Hello, Joy.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Is this the first time that the DR is in front of your name on 9/11?
Yes, it is.
I think it is.
Always a week and a half.
I think it is. Almost a week and a half. And so we want to recognize, before we go into the show, we just want to stop and recognize that Joy has a DR in front of her names. And so we have the doctors in the house. So we have Dr. Joy P. Creel, who is our resident self-care specialist. So whenever we have a show, she is always going to bring some element of self-care to the conversation that we have. So very proud of you, Joy, and we celebrate you for the hard work, the dedication, the commitment, all that it took to get that abbreviation at the front of your name.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And now let's bring Clarissa on in. Let's bring Clarissa in. Dr. Fuqua says, congratulations. Hey, doctor. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome, Clarissa. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me once more and again.
You are welcome. It is always my pleasure to talk to you. You are one of my favorite people. I enjoy having conversations with you.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. I'm always amazed by your talents, by your gift. I'm amazed by the way that God has uniquely gifted you. And so when Clarissa took up the challenge, and as we were strolling through the postings, and I came across this picture, and I thought, oh, she is definitely one of the winners. I love this picture. She is definitely one of the winners. And so let's start by that. Let's just start by posting the picture. So I want you guys, listening audience, I want you to look at this picture. Here we have a young African American at a mailbox, two of them, African American males at the mailbox, and Clarissa will give us all the picture, all of what's happening in that capture, and then we have. So Joy, go back to the other picture for me. I want to stop there for 1 second. So we got this picture because this is the picture right here that caught my attention. This is the picture, and then there was a caption that came with that picture, and I was so impressed. It is really just a continual testament to her commitment to better African American males, young males. I'm gonna let her tell her story because no one can tell it as well as Clarissa. Clarissa, give us the backdrop to that picture.
Okay, so I have something that I say to every parent who comes here just to decide whether or not they want to enroll their child in my daycare. And I say, the world is our curriculum. Because I believe that schools are poorly educating children because it's limited, because at a certain age you have to do certain things at a certain time of day, you have to do certain things, and it disjoints the way that it's disjointed compared to how we actually learn. So every day go outside for our large motor activity. I have a daycare center, but as you can see, those were bigger kids. So now I have children who are school-age children who are doing their distance learning at my daycare center. They're the they're the older siblings of my toddlers. So that particular day, we were going out for our walk, and I'm going to read the caption that I put. So it was that the little one is my little cousin Carson. That's my first cousin's son. And the older one is that's Miko. He thinks I'm his mom, but he's one of my little ones, big brothers. And it says, today we mailed off my mom and dad's absentee ballots. Lessons: physical education, walking; social studies for sixth graders, who's on the ballot; social studies for second graders, what is a ballot; social studies for my kindergartner, what is a ballot, how is it spelled, can you sound it out; and social studies for preschoolers, what letter does ballot start with; social action for everybody, what's a disability; why does Nana have to vote in the mailbox instead of the school like me. So in the other picture that Joyce put up, we were at the school, which is my polling location, and it happens to be directly across the street from the mailbox. So it was a great moment because I was able to point to the school for the toddlers to give them physical context of what was happening. So, and they all know that my mom has rheumatoid arthritis. So she's been an absentee voter for a really long time now. And we walk past his mailbox every day, and we have since they were tiny tots, when I used to push them around in the buggy. And at that time I would just tell them, this is a mailbox, the mail goes in here. But so that day I asked my mom to bring her ballot to the daycare with her. And so that when we went for our walk, they could put it in the mailbox and we could have a conversation about the ballots, about early voting, about polling locations, and about voter suppression in a way, because it really doesn't make sense that just because you have a different ability when it comes to your physical abilities that you have to vote by mail. Like, I don't understand why there aren't more ways made for people who have physical limitations or different abilities when it comes to their physical abilities. So we were able to talk about what Nana needs, because so all the kids call me auntie and she's Nana to everyone. So we talked about what Nana needs because they see her in her walker, so they know that she walks differently and they know that she has a hard time standing for a long period. So we were able to have a conversation about disabilities and voter suppression, voter registration, who's on the ballot, and yeah, it was a good time. So at the time, I had 2 6th graders, 2 2nd graders, a kindergartner, and I have 5 boys who are all born in 2017. So they're 3 now, and 1 2-year-old. So yeah, it was a good conversation, and it's because the world is our curriculum. We're living through a pandemic in an election year. It really doesn't make sense that we aren't giving our kids having more conversations about who's on the ballot and what's going on, because my 6th graders, all they knew is that we were voting for the president. So I was able to have a conversation about the fact that there's way more to vote for. There are way more positions that are up for grabs right now. And there's a lot going on. And because they didn't even realize that they're only 7 years away from voting. So,
wow.
And I'm not sure that they knew that you can vote at 18. So we were able to talk about that. Like, and then it even turned into a math lesson for the 2nd graders, because they're 7, they're both born on the same day. So you're 7, how many years until you're 18? So 18 minus 7 equals, so it became a math lesson, but it's like, and I don't know, that's just how I teach. Like, it just makes sense. Today, I accidentally taught about the water cycle when we were singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider, because it's been raining outside, and when it says the sun dried up all the rain, I asked them, how did the sun dry up the rain? Is the sun hot or cold? They know that the sun makes it hot. So I explained to them that the heat dries up the rain because it's going up into the sky, and then they all sing the song, evaporate, evaporate. The sun is going to make it evaporate. And then heavy, and then the rain's down, and that's called precipitation. Precipitation. When it rains, it's called precipitation. So they're 2 and 3, and they know the water cycle, even though that doesn't come up into science in 1st or 2nd grade. Well, why wait? It rains every 2 weeks. Why should we wait? Because they want to understand why they can't play on the grass. It's fall. The sun is not out as long, so we don't get the heat. The evaporation doesn't come, so we can't go to the grass. That's a really long answer, but that's how it works.
So what you did is you just gave us a real live example of your children's daycare experience, your children's learning experience, your children's real world educational experience. And so that was beautiful. Actually, that was beautiful. I love that answer. I love that response, because I got a chance to see how you go from an everyday, what would seem maybe incidental occurrence of something, and make it a real, a relevant activity that they can take that, carry it on, and remember it, because it's so relevant. It's not, you didn't just answer the rain, why it's raining, why does it dry up? You did, but you made it realistic to the and I want to go back to something. When I read the post, what was genius for me, what to fit into the context of the group, what was brilliant for me is you took one activity and you made it relevant across the developmental stages. You made it relevant. One activity, you were able to break it down to so each stage could see it from their own lens, and have some content taken back. I thought that was genius. I said, now that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So you leverage this one activity, and then everyone could see where they fit.
Mhm.
Everyone was able to see how it was relevant to them, and everyone could be empowered by the exact same activity. So imagine if you take that from your classroom where you know had maybe the sixth graders and the second graders or whoever it was that day. Imagine if you take that, just that concept, that general concept from your daycare experience, and put this in an everyday life for adults.
Mhm.
You see, we can skip all of the K through 12 experience and skip all of that. Just go to adults where we have one incident that occurs and where everybody can find where they park.
Yeah.
Everybody can find some aspect of it that's relevant to them. And when we do that, then we're empowered to walk that out and to be to answer, to be an answer or to be added value to the situation. So I just thought that was genius the way that you did that.
Thank
And
you.
your young men then walk away so empowered, get able to sing about precipitation and the
Yeah.
precipitation.
And they couldn't even say it. It's the cutest thing. So as I go free, they say precipitation. Exactly. Close enough. Close enough. By the time someone will expect you to know what it is, you'll be able to say it.
Wow, so genius. So what's the name of your daycare?
My daycare is Elevated Education Center. Yeah,
Elevated
and
Education
I
Center.
didn't name it. I'm a co-owner. My business partner. I'm partners with a husband and a wife. The husband came up with the name, and it
Okay.
resonates. It resonates.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you talk about the population that you focus on.
So inadvertently, I have a daycare full of boys. It's to the point now that people think I did it on purpose. But when
Okay.
we decided to open, the couple, they had a son. He was a part of the 2017 cohort. So they had a son, and I have my nephew Kennedy and my nephew Mason. I'm an only child, but these are my first cousin's children. So when I was ready to open, I knew that I would have the three of them. The next person who came along, another little boy. I've had some girls who came through different times, but people have moved and different things like that. But so my cohort are little black boys. And most of them, either they're biologically related to me or I went to college with their parents. And like I always wanted to have something for black children because I'm black, and so that's just where I land. And because I'm black and from Detroit, most of the people I know are black,
Yeah.
so it wasn't hard to seek out black children or black
Yeah.
families who are looking for quality childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my children are black. Most of their parents I went to college with, and they're all from Detroit or Metro Detroit, and
Hmm.
we just have a good time. And I think what I enjoy is that we have become a family. Like
Okay.
reopening in COVID wasn't like a extremely daunting for me because
Okay.
I'm friends with all of them, at least Facebook friends. We all have a community. They trust each other. They trust me. So when I was ready to reopen, they were all like, tell us what time to be there and what's the new
Hmm.
protocol. We'll be there, no problem.
Hmm.
Because we have a system, and we have a lot of love and trust between the boys.
Hmm.
Like one of
Hmm.
them came in, they were lining up to wash their hands, and he put his arms around the two who were next to them, and he goes, "Auntie, these my brothers." And it was so
Oh.
cute.
Oh.
But that's how they are, because I've
Oh.
been open for 2 years this month, and they're three, so they've been here since they were a year old. They don't remember life without each other. They don't remember life without us,
Mm.
and they're here 7 to 10 hours a day. I'm a staple in their lives. So yeah, I get mommy treatment. I get called mommy all the time, and like and this week has been actually kind of interesting. They're all kind of becoming kind of territorial. One of them sat between my legs. He pushed another one and said, "This is my auntie. It's not your auntie." Like, okay, we got to work on that. But yeah. But it's a part of Blackness, the fictive kin, the fictive kinship that we do. Like, nobody took offense to me being called auntie, and nobody takes offense to my mom being called Nana, because Black people, we like having extended families. And it helps to add to the safety of the environment to know that there's a Black woman, a senior citizen Black woman here caring for the kids, and she's an incentive. She's a behavior incentive to me, because when it's about to be nap time, if they're not going to the potty and putting their stuff away, I say, "Oh, you can't go give Nana a hug," and they get it together. Like, "Oh, I want to give Nana a hug." Like, she comes in and they start cheering. They think she's a celebrity, and it's a great time for everybody.
What a rich environment. Every time I hear you talk about it, I just feel I don't know what the word, full. I feel full, just full of appreciation and just gratefulness that these young souls have somewhere safe, and not just safe, but enriching to land. And you are leaving an indelible imprint on them that sets them up for an absolutely amazing future, rich, solid, and just full.
Thank you.
Full. Yeah, you're welcome. Joy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I always get excited when Clarissa talks about her daycare. And one of the things that obviously being here in this capacity allows me to do is ask the question that I always like to ask, or make sure that she is taking care of herself. So I hear how you're taking care of the boys and all the things that you're doing for them. So my question is, what is Auntie doing for her auntie?
Well, the highlight of my life is actually being married. A few months before my first anniversary, one of my aunts my aunt said to me, "You coming up on a year, how's it going?" And I was like, "I'm having fun." And I realized that, like, people always talk about marriage is work, it's hard work, but literally it's the easiest thing that I'm doing right now. Like, when Tyrone gets home, if he gets home early enough, he'll come down and play with the boys, and they love Uncle Tyrone. And I recognize now that they just love whatever I love. Like, so they're Nana's biggest fans because I love Nana. They're Uncle Tyrone's biggest fans because I'm Uncle Tyrone's biggest fan. And and because I have boys, he's always really intentional about his interactions with them. So he's outside playing football in his work clothes. He's doing push-ups with them, running around, picking them up, spinning around. And then when they go home, I get to go home and he's there, and I feel like I don't have to be a boss anymore. I don't have to be auntie. I don't have to be a business owner. Like, when I'm with Tyrone, I get to be Clarissa, and even if it's just for a couple hours before we go to sleep, it gives me what I need to go out and be auntie and be on a show at night. He gives me what I need to go be what I'm supposed to be for everybody else.
My favorite Fosters.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, that answers my question.
He gives me what I need to go out and be what I need to be able to go out and be what I need for everybody else. I love that statement. And so we know self-care is so vital, so absolutely important. And so it warms my heart to hear that's built in. It's built in. It's a part of the system. You see, that's already there for you. So it doesn't take, oftentimes when we think about the notion of self-care, we've got to do a lot of extra, and be really intentional about it and those kinds of things. But for you, It's built in because 14 months ago you said I do.
Yeah, I mean, but even
Your friend.
from a practical
Yeah.
level, when he comes in and plays with them, I can do the
Mhm.
vacuuming. I
Okay.
can sanitize the toys because
Okay.
they're playing with Uncle Tyrone, so I can get some work done. So then
Yeah.
when they're gone, my work day is actually over because he's with them.
Yeah.
And part of having a home daycare,
Mm.
he had to do
Mhm.
a background check too, just because he's here. So like
Mm.
legally he can be with them, and and it actually just helps the system of things. So yeah.
And so I want our listening audience to hear what Clarissa just said. As
Mhm.
a business owner, as a daycare provider, her husband, who lives in the home, also had to do a background check because because he engages the children. And
Mhm.
so just, sometimes we'll do things and we'll not understand the full picture, the big picture of it. It's a good idea, it can be a wonderful, a nice, a novel idea to have a daycare in your home. But there are some elements to it that has to be considered that one may not. And so I hadn't even thought about that before you just said that.
Mhm.
How important it is to have all of those aspects covered, for your safety, for industry safety, for the children's safety.
Absolutely.
So absolutely. Let's look at some of the comments, Joy. Dr. Sean Fuqua said, "Nourishment for the soul, fictive kins. Nourishment for the soul." Hey, Sean. Hey, Dr. Sean. The bond and connection is real authenticity. All
Absolutely.
right, all right, all right.
It really is. I was looking at some baby pictures of them, and I'm like, do other daycare providers look at baby pictures of their kids? Because I am in my feelings. Like, I really used to
Yeah,
change diapers all day, and now we're
yeah.
talking about evaporation. Like who are these people?
Who are they? Who are they? And it would certainly be my hope and my prayer that other daycare providers look at pictures
Me too.
of those who
Mine
they
too.
care for. That's certainly my hope. That it's more than a machine,
Yeah.
that it's a calling for them. I think we had earlier, we had Athelia Cargile saying, "Congratulations, Dr. Joy."
Thank you. Thank you so
We're
much.
so proud. So proud.
We are.
It's exciting. It's exciting
We
time.
are. We are. There are a couple of
I,
other things that
I,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joy.
I was gonna say I do have one more self-care question. And how, if at all, are you teaching your boys self-care? I know that you teach them lots
Yes.
of things. I know you teach them about the world and you have lots of teaching experiences for them, but how do you teach young Black boys to take care of themselves?
So my training is mostly accredited to the Children's Defense Fund Freedom School, and CDF Freedom Schools really encompasses everything that I feel like a school should have. And one of the important things is emotional safety. So we have Freedom School, we have Harambe every day. And part of Harambe is the moment of silence. So this summer I did Harambe with them because I had one of my mentees who also works for the Children's Defense Fund as an Ella Baker trainer. She was with me, so we taught them how to do Harambe. So for the moment of silence, I taught them how to do deep breathing. Just let's
Mm,
inside, let's take a deep breath and
mm-hmm,
release. And, we'll raise our
mm-hmm.
arms slowly and bring them down. So now when they're getting really riled up, I'll go, we need to take a deep breath. And one of them will go, follow me, follow me. But also be reminded that I have a cohort of boys born in 2017 who are now 3. So the terrible twos, my God, we made it through. But it was difficult because a lot of them were having tantrums at the same time, or just
Yeah.
random crying spurts. So I do a lot with building their verbal language. Like when they were smaller,
Mm-hmm.
I taught them how to sign. and how to sign for needs and for more food. And I just found out the other day they actually still remember a lot of that stuff. Like one of them just at random said to me, more please, more please. I was like, who knew you still knew that? But so I taught them how to sign because language helps us to process our feelings. If you have words for what you feel, you can get it out. So yeah, again, like, I used to change diapers all day, and now they'll say to me, Auntie, I'm frustrated. And then so then we can have conversations about why they're frustrated and what we can do to make those things better. But sometimes they still just cry. So I've set up a space in the room where I'll say, you can go over there, have your moment. You can go cry. That's okay, because sometimes you have to get it out. When you're ready to rejoin us, please rejoin us. One time I was upstairs, like grabbing the food, and I could hear the two 7-year-olds like screaming at each other. And I could hear one of the toddlers crying over the screams. When I got down, I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? Somebody tell me what's the situation. And one of them was like, he needs to take a deep breath. And the other one was like, he needs to have a moment. It's okay to cry. And I was like, y'all, you're both right. He needs to take a moment. And during that moment, he could take a deep breath. But so like while all I could hear was screaming, it was good to know that even the 7-year-olds are understanding that it's okay to cry. But when you're crying, what I explained to them is like, when you cry, you need to get the emotions out. But if we want to get results, we have to use our words. So when you're done crying, let's use our words so that we can figure out the solution. We also talk a lot about conflict resolution because they are going through like a tattling phase. Like say 2 of them are arguing, someone else comes over and say, Auntie, blah, he took this from him. And I'll say, does that have anything to do with you? No, then you don't need to worry about that. They need to talk and figure out how to solve the problem. So then I come over and I'll say, what's the issue? And allow them to tell me what's happening. And I'll say, oh, he took your ball. So what do you need to say? And sometimes it's like, give me my ball back. Wait a minute. Gentle words, because he's still a person and he deserves respect even if you're upset. So what can you say? So and I've even learned to reframe how I chastise them, especially now that I have bigger kids. Like when all that screaming is happening, or somebody is like somebody's giving attitude or whatever, I'll say, no, I won't accept that from you. You are far too kind, respectful, and intelligent to use that kind of language. I don't have that expectation of you. And like, I was actually just telling this to my cousins because I want my kids to know that even when I'm upset with you, I still think you're amazing, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you are awesome, and awesome people don't behave like that. You are smart. Smart people don't do that or don't have to do it that way. You are gentle. You are kind. Why are you screaming at us? And like they're going through a phase where I've even found myself raising my voice. And I said to them, it is unacceptable that you don't respond until I'm loud, because I was using my gentle words. I explained to you what I needed, and I say to them the same thing. I say about myself the same thing that I say to them. I am a person. I have feelings. I deserve respect. And that's what I say to them about each other. He is a person. He deserves respect. And I'm grateful to have so many boys, because they are in a space where all boys are able to have feelings. Like I don't have to have that gendered conversation that often has to happen. But part of the reason that I set up the space in the room where they can go cry is because I recognize that they're not always going to be at Auntie's house. But so I need them to know that you need to get the feelings out, but other people might judge you if they see you falling apart. So go find a safe place, go release it, and then come back when you're ready to be what the world expects you to be.
Yeah. Powerful. That's so much was said there. The safe place. Excuse me. Giving a an African American male child permission to feel and empowered to protect themselves while they feel. That's such a gift. It's such a gift because we know males in general, societally, don't have permission to feel.
Right.
And African American males, you see, just because of all of the nonsense that we experience around, race, and even some of the things that we believe about strength and things like that, there certainly isn't this permission to feel. And so I love how you have given them the permission, but also provided them the protections with it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's so empowering, so empowering. Let's go to the comments, Joy. We've got Dr. Sean is really loving our conversations tonight. He said, nice. My 1-year-old grandson is learning how to sign by his mom. Hey, Fee. Hey. Dr. Sean says, I hear the child-centered techniques of play therapy, emotional regulation.
That's
Absolutely.
the benefits of having a therapist as an early childhood educator. You get all of it.
Get it all. Yes. Words of affirmation. Absolutely. Words of affirmation. I also like coming off of Fee's words of affirmation is your admittance of raising your voice, because we don't want to walk away from any conversation with it seeming like as if we do anything like perfect all the time.
Right.
But what you acknowledge and what you demonstrated, what you modeled for your precious ones is that, there are times when we don't necessarily do what we know is the thing to do or the way it is, but there's a way back from that.
Absolutely.
Do you see? And there's a way back. And so I love that because you modeled for them, because they know what your norm is, what you generally, the ways you generally do it. And this is a way that, is not common. And yet you acknowledge this. You didn't ignore it. You didn't project it onto them. You made me do this. None of that.
Nope.
You see, and so very powerful.
Yeah, like the following morning when I was taking their temperatures as each one were coming in, I said, yesterday I yelled at you. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. We're going to have a better day today. And I mean, because like you said, I want them to be good people. I want them to be good people. And being good is not being perfect. Being good is being able to acknowledge that I made a mistake and we can move forward. And I recognize that might have hurt your feelings. So I want to admit that I can do better, because I want them to always see that they can do better. And it's been so rewarding to see their language transition. Like, we're working on independent life skills, putting coats on, putting shoes on, and all those things. Like before, like at the beginning of this phase, I would say, okay, go put your shoes on, and they would gather their things and bring it to me. No, you need to try. So now they go over, they grab their things and say, Auntie, I need to try. Yes, you do. You need to try, because I want them to see that even if it's hard, you can put forth some effort. And when I see you put forth the effort, I'll scaffold it for you. I'll hold up the shoe so you can put your foot in there. But I need to see that you care about learning this skill. And then I'll show you step by step. But I want them to always be a part of the learning process. I don't feel like I should have to teach them everything. Some things we learn innately. Like I said this recently on something that I was on. I learned that babies cry with an accent. Like, they cry to the cadence of the language that's being spoken around them while they're in the womb. So with that knowledge, I can't then have these 3-year-olds and believe that I have to teach them everything. They're learning all the time, and I need them to be a part of that learning. So, like, I'll give you the language, I'll help facilitate it so that you can understand what's happening, but you have to be involved in the process. Like right now, like I said, it's raining all the time, but we're also talking about the colors of fall. So then when we go out for a walk, it's like, oh, this is what she's talking about. These leaves right there. Like, yeah, I'll give you the language, but I don't want them to ever feel like they need permission to explore. I want that to be their natural inclination. Like, we stomp the genius out of kids by teaching them the way that we do. Because, like, I was thinking about this today, like that phrase, classroom control. Do I need people who have agency? And I learned that when I was working with kids on the autism spectrum. I wrote a blog once called Autistic Autonomy. And it's because it was the first time that I was working with people who don't innately care about social pressure. Like, we do a lot of things because we see other people doing it. But one of the characteristics of autism is that you don't notice the world around you. So then a lot of autism training is getting them to notice stuff, but getting them to notice means bringing them out of their own space. And that's difficult because essentially we're teaching them not to have autonomy, not to be in control of their bodies, not to be in control of their space. And so now that I'm with kids who are not neurodivergent, I still want them to understand that they are in charge of their space, in charge of their bodies. Like, one of them, he walked really closely next to me, like he was right on my arm, and I reached around to hug him, and he said, "No, this is my own body, no hug." And I said, "You're right. That's your body. I didn't ask. I'm sorry." And I was so proud of him for telling me, you need consent to touch me. And because he's right. That's what I taught them. That is your body. Nobody gets to do that without your permission.
Wow. Go ahead, Joy.
One of the things I can say is that I can appreciate, especially in having the conversation around young Black men, is this idea of language and giving them language early so that they will be able to articulate when they're having an issue, when they want something, when they need something, when consent is a thing. Like the fact that you're having these conversations with, what do you say, 4-year-olds now, or are they 3?
They're 3.
3-year-olds at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can really appreciate, giving them language early on, because one of the things that we know that happens with language, it helps in the developmental process, right? Yeah. So I think that is amazing. And I also think that that's a huge part of the self-care piece. And I only say that because, again, you can articulate, hey, I just need to lay down. Hey, I just want to take a nap. Hey, I need, or whatever it is that I need. And if they can articulate that at 3, when they're 13 or 23 or 33, like, you won't be having these temper tantrums and don't understand why and can't articulate the fact that I just need to go lay down. Do you know how many adults just need to say, look, I just need a nap. Like, I'm tired.
I am tired.
Yeah. Right. So I definitely can appreciate that from a self-care perspective, and you owning the things and giving them language back so that they can respond back to you. So that's definitely appreciated.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you
and so much. You started off, you made a statement. You said the world is our what?
Curriculum.
The world is our curriculum. And it's so true that, unfortunately, many children go to school to learn how to stop being inquisitive.
Yeah.
To learn how to stop being naturally creative, to learn how to stop thinking beyond what's presented, in front of them. And your model of the world, everything. We are here to learn from everything. Yep. So there's nothing that happens that you can't then take and turn into a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, pull you up.
it has. I really been patting myself on the back because today I did like a random review and I was like, wow, who is these kids' teacher? Like they
I
know
know, right?
so much. They understand so many things. Like some stuff is just them regurgitating still, but that's still a great skill. Like their recall ability is excellent because of the random ways that we've practiced it. Like I rarely have them sitting because it would be frustrating for me and frustrating for them. So stand up and dance if that's what you got to do, but we're going to learn how to spell this. Like I did a random thing that because Kennedy, that my cousin's son, he was like, oh, he's wearing a mask. He's wearing a mask. And I was like, wow, he's really hitting that K sound. Let's see if we can sound it out. They sounded out mask. Like they're actually ready to read at 3. I'm like, by 5, when they go to kindergarten, we'll be in chapter books. And just because everything is a lesson.
Why is this important to you?
Oh man. So I'm gonna try to give the short version. So in short, when I was 19, I was rejected from the College of Education. And I was distraught because I didn't know what else to do because I knew that I was a teacher since I was 15. I was older, so that was 19. I was like in my 20s when my mom told me that when she used to pick me up from daycare, I would be helping the other kids do activities. So that's why I started school a year early because I had mastered everything. So before I can even remember, I've been a teacher. Like even when the year after I graduated from college with an English degree and didn't know what I wanted to be, I was working in the cafeteria. My best days were when they hired someone else and they asked me to train them. And then like there were 2 girls, Tanara and Dre. I don't know, they were like my kids because I was like 22 and they were 18. You know, at that age, that's a big gap.
Right.
So, like there were 2 different times. One of them came and she showed me the pin that she got on her hat because they gave her an award for how well she had done whatever I had trained her to do. Tanara was like, she showed me one day, like, you want a piece of this? They gave her a huge Rice Krispie because of how well she had ran the pizza room. Like, you know, in the cafeteria in college, pizza is a big thing. So you want to keep them going relatively quickly because everybody's always coming to get them, but you don't want to make too many because then you have to toss it. Her timing was perfect because of how I trained her. And and at that time, it's like, oh, why I never get an award. But when now it's like, wow, I'm that good of a teacher. That even when I felt like I was out of alignment, out of purpose, because I was working in the cafeteria with a degree, I was still doing me. And then at that time, my college roommate is like, you need a different job. So she made me find a job on the MSU Spartan Career thing. And that's when I started working in daycare. And I loved it. But then I wasn't getting paid enough. So I just kind of did random stuff. I did summer camps. I did after school programs. I went back to the cafeteria, but I just knew I was a teacher. And then somehow I happened upon Centria Healthcare with becoming an ABA therapist. And that's when I started doing the work with the kids on the autism spectrum. Literally, Centria called me and I was like, okay, sounds good to me. It was, they offered, the pay was more than I had made before. So I started with them and then I started sharing stories of what was happening with my kids. Like I had a kid who was completely nonverbal. And then one day, about 5 months in, we sang bingo together and it was huge. Like I had a kid who had a lot of cognitive delay and he said mama for the first time when he was 9 years old. 9 years old. That was the first time he said it. And I was just like, I am gifted at this. I'm gifted at this. I never worked with kids with special needs before, and I was getting all kind of awards. My supervisors, like when I applied for that job and did training, they told me no one ever gets 100% on the I don't know, the assessments that the supervisor give
Sure.
you. I got 100% 3 different times from 2 different
Wow.
supervisors. Like they never had anything negative to say because my kids' stats were going through the roof because we had to take the data. Like they were checking, like they were watching me because they didn't even believe that my kids were
Sure.
mastering the programs as quickly as the data was showing. So then there was one day when I rode past a building that was for sale, because a lot of after that people were like, Clarissa, you just need to do your own thing, blah blah blah, start your own, have you ever? But I'm like, I'm not a business person. So I rode past a building that was for sale and I said, God, if you want me to open a daycare, I need you to give me some people, someone who is business minded. I only want to do children, education, and families. The following morning, someone I know from college who I met in a program for urban educators, who met his wife in that same program, the program that I got into because I didn't get the scholarship, he reached out to me and said, hey, do you have such and such certification? Me and my wife want to open a daycare. It was the next morning.
The next
it was
day?
the next
day.
like
Morning.
it was a Wednesday
Wow.
night that I saw the building because I
Wow.
remember I was on the way to Bible study. Thursday
Yeah.
morning, he sent the message. So we're talking 12 hours. So we set up a meeting that Friday. They pull out all the paperwork from the state of Michigan. All the thing they like, the window will cost this much. This is how many kids we can have. This is what it takes for an in-home daycare, blah, blah, blah. This is our timeline. This is the business. This is what we need to fill out. And they were like, oh, I just want this to be clear. This is the Clarissa Show. We want to do all the business, but we want you to do children, education, and families. And I said, God, we're going. And we've been moving ever since.
When you started talking, what I wrote down is our gifts will make room for us.
Because God be gotten.
He
right?
do. Because, and that's where that came from. Like, it literally, children, education, and families. He said it verbatim. It was my prayer verbatim. They did all of the business part. They set up the bank account. They sent everything in for the state of Michigan. All I had to do was read and sign. Like if I had a question, I asked the question, but I didn't have to do any of that research because that just is, that's not my strong suit. And I never wanted to be a business person. But what I have learned is that when I really walk in purpose, I get new titles added to me. I get new attributes because I didn't be a business person, but now I have 2 businesses because of the daycare. Like,
yeah.
Literally, when you're walking in purpose, you get to be somebody that you don't think you can be. And that is my life. That's why I do this, because I don't know how to not do this. The world is our curriculum. Every moment is a moment for learning. Every moment is a moment for teaching. My kindergartner, like I got a set of books for him because I'm actually homeschooling him. I got a set of books for him that I got the suggestion from an educator friend, and I was like, yeah, this would be a great start. And we're already ready to go to the next set. He's reading, and we're only in a month into kindergarten. All right, next month, what are we? I don't know. Like, you already surpassed what I thought our curriculum was going to be, but who knows? Why am I doing this? I don't know how to not do this. No matter what setting I'm in, I am a teacher. I am an educator. And then especially as a woman of faith, like, we see Jesus as a carpenter. We see him as savior. We see him as a disciple maker. We see him as a miracle worker. Like when he did the fish and the loaves. But in every one of those moments, he was teaching.
Yeah, everyone.
Like as when he counsels, when he saw the woman at the well, he was teaching. In every way we see him, every amazing thing that he did, he was teaching. And that's how I feel. That's where I feel most connected to the Lord. Like everything I do is an opportunity for me to teach someone about something larger. And like Yeah, he gave her water, but he also taught her about
Mhm,
culture. He taught her about
mhm,
salvation. He taught her
mhm,
about crossing boundaries. He taught her about literary elements because he was metaphorical. Like Jesus is a
mhm.
teacher, and so am I. Like I feel like I owe it to the world to walk like Jesus in this way.
Amen. Amen. And so I heard it said that our life is a gift that God gives to us, and what we do with it is our gift back to Him.
Yeah.
And so you're not allowing the no to um, to the school curriculum you were trying to get into. You're not allowing that no to stop you from walking out purpose, from being who you've been created to be,
Mm-hmm.
from still honoring the fact that teaching oozes out of you. It's
Yeah.
breathing for you. Um, you're not limiting it to that space allowed you to continue to show up for the two young ladies in the cafeteria and for the countless other individuals who you've shown up for over and over and over and over again to impart knowledge and to empower them to become learners of life,
Yeah.
just learners of life, to, as you said, see the world as the curriculum. And so I'm really talking kind of at this point to our listening audience. And um, Clarissa's on because she saw a challenge and she met the challenge and she became one of the individuals selected to celebrate, to highlight, and to just really give appreciation and thanks for the way she's showing up in the world. And she showed her brilliance and how she is uh, pouring into the lives of these precious young ones that are blessed to be under her care and her tutelage. Um, and she shared with us that although the path didn't, she knew that she was a teacher. She had evidence for it all throughout her life. And when she got to the juncture where an external entity should have stamped approval, should have come along and said, "You're right, we agree," they said the opposite. And so, how many times, beloved, do we run into that in our lives? How many times do we know in our core that we've been called to do things? How many times do we walk into a situation where we are sure this is a go? We're walking through that door and it does not. And so my question is, when that happens, what do we do? Because at that point, we're in a fork in the road and we have a choice. We can decide, well, perhaps this wasn't it. Maybe I missed the boat, or I just don't have enough in me to push it, or forget it. It's not that deep. I'm just going to, we can do that. That's an option. Not really, not in my world, but I'm just saying. Or we could do, as Clarissa has demonstrated, as she shared, so graciously shared her journey with us, we could continue to show up in life. And of course, it's no, none of our paths are linear. So it's not without some questions, some whatever. But she continued to walk out her gifts in the different venues that God gave her the opportunity and privilege to walk out. And so, Clarissa, I really want to celebrate you. I really want to
Thank
celebrate
you.
you being brilliant. You're welcome. Being brilliant. The Facebook group Being Brilliant is about celebration. It's about us coming into this community and just saying, "Hey, this is how I'm gifted. This is how these are my strengths. This is my strong suit. This is my light that I'm not going to put under a bushel, that I'm
Yeah.
not going to put under a bowl, but I'm going to put on a candlestick, right? I'm going to put on the candlestand for all to see." And then the rest of us come alongside and say, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." And so that's what we're doing for you tonight. Joy and I are saying yes, 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 yes to
Thank you.
Clarissa
Thank you. Thank you.
and to your brilliance in how you show up as a teacher, and specifically how you show up as a teacher for these precious souls. Um, any last comments, Clarissa?
I wrote a book recently. It came out.
Yes, tell us about the book.
So it's called Where is Peace in the Midst of Chaos, God is still God when life is hard. And I was able to put it together because of COVID. Number one, because I had it, and because of the shutdown order. When I had COVID, I realized that I had worn myself to bits because I was giving my kids way too much of my energy and their families, and not being good enough to myself. So when I had it, I was sick and I didn't even know it because I was so used to being tired. And but this year I've spent a lot more time actually reading the Bible. And what keeps coming back to me is that God created the world, he rested. And if the creator of the universe needs to rest, so do I. And what I had to tell myself, and I have to tell myself this often. I had to remind myself this when I moved out of my parents' house, because I have a mom who does have a physical handicap and my dad is 71. And I lived with him for 5 years, but when I was getting married, I knew I was leaving. And then I had to say this to myself with my kids, like, no matter how much I love them and how much I love my parents, God loves them more. So I need to let him take care of them. Even if I leave, even if I don't do daycare anymore, God is going to still let them be okay. So I needed to take time to rest. So I did. And when I was recovered, I started writing again. And this year has been something for all of us. We're living through a pandemic. Racial tensions are high. Everything, nothing is normal, or so it seems. So so I was just like, God, where are you? I took a ebook course through a company called, Conscious Consulting, 5-day ebook course. And at the end of 5 days, your book is ready. But at the end of 5 days, my book was ready. But I also have a God Be Goddin business partner, and he wasn't ready to release it yet. So it didn't come out until just a couple weeks ago, even though I took the course months ago. But even still, the timing was perfect. So we released the book because in the course sheet, when she said to name the book, she was talking about how people would rather take a pain medicine than take vitamins every day, because we will respond to pain before we'll respond to preemptive measures. So she said, when naming the book, answer the question, what pain are you resolving? So where my mind initially went was, God, where are you? And so I began to ask, where is peace in the midst of chaos? Because peace isn't just a feeling. Peace is a being. His name is Shalom. So God, I know you're here, but how do I detect you when all this is going on? So we created a 7-day devotional, and we're just having conversations. It's just recalling everyday things where we encountered the Lord on a regular day, and a prayer about encountering God on a regular day when life is happening, when chaos is all around us. But God, where are you in the middle of all this? So there's stories about depression. There's stories about just everything hard that happens. Like, God, how am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to act as a Christian? What's the right way? Even when I don't know that, are you still here? And how do I know? And so we put it together, and I just text friends about it, and we didn't even promote it. I just text my friends like, hey, it's available. And that night it hit number 1 in the Christian wisdom literature. I don't even know to be proud of that, because that really was God. I didn't promote this book. I just did what I thought to do, and I sent it to my friends, and it went where it was supposed to go.
So a place to be proud is that you showed up.
Absolutely.
You showed up.
I did.
You showed up. That's the place of pride to say. That's another pat on your back. It's right. You showed up. and you gave your friends an opportunity, right, to help with that process, to help to make the book get to the status that it was. So, Joy, you were going to say something? Thank you, Clarissa. Thank you.
I was just going to say, and we add best-selling author to our profile of things to to add. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on the movement, and congratulations on all of the things you mentioned. I did put up in the comments for everybody. You'll see the link to the book. It's an ebook on Amazon. And so that's this link here. And she mentioned her apparel line. And I think that's just godbegotten.com. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So godbegotten.com. And I'll
he does what only he can do, and he continues to do it.
Tell us what that means. Apparently this link is wrong.
Okay. So my degree is in English, and at MSU, if you have an English major, you have to take 4 semesters of a foreign language. And I took French because that's what I took in high school. There's a tense, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but what it means is like a form of the verb to be, meaning something that you do and that you continue to do. Like in English, we'll say, I go to the store regularly. But in Black English, we say, I be going to the store. That means I do this all the time. So I was actually talking to Joy when I was at Ashland, and I was talking about how everything was lining up for the daycare. And I was just like, God just be guiding. And I posted it on Facebook, just sharing a testimony about how the Lord was making those things happen, like the children, education, and families, like that was so aligned. And my business partner, Mel Mills, after I posted it like 2 or 3 times, he reached out and he's like, I really love that. Can I put it on a shirt? And so he did. Mel and I know each other from our church in Lansing, Epicenter of Worship. We were on the media team together. Mel is very gifted in graphic design and website designs. So he put on a shirt for himself, and then other people saw it and wanted to buy it. So he reached back out and was like, how do you feel about making this a business? We'll split everything 50-50, blah, 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 blah. What Mel didn't know is that when I opened the daycare, I knew that I would have to spend a lot of time there and my income would be cut. So my prayer was that the Lord would give me a source of passive income because I didn't have time to clock in anywhere.
Yeah.
So literally my testimony about how the Lord was making the daycare work became the answer to the prayer of the passive income. So yeah, God be God, and he does what he does, and only he can do it, and he does it continually. And because I'm Black, and being Black is very central to my identity, I love that I have a company that has Black English, because I'm from the school of thought that Black English is not a dialect. It is a language because it has its own rules, and people who are not native speakers speak it with the accent. And like, because even within Black language, we have dialects depending on your region. We have our own slang, but the rules, they don't change. Like I can't say God be guiding, because in Black English, you have to drop the G. Like that's just how it works. We have rules for the language. So not only is it Black, not only is it Christian, but it also speaks to my love for language. And that's why I teach my kids the way that I teach. I have Black kids. I teach them scriptures, and I teach them to love language. So it really encompasses all the things that I think are important.
So
thank you.
For everyone that's listening, I had to correct the link. So the link is corrected. It is there. That is the link for the book. And then this is the link for Clarissa's apparel line, godbegotten.com. And then that Amazon link for you all. All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Joy, for getting those links, Pat, and posted. All right. We're going to bring it to an end. Clarissa, I just really want to say thank you so much. You are a bright, shining star. You really are. You are significant. You're significant in the earth. And I'm grateful that you have answered the call and that these young lives are forever changed. They are forever changed because of the work that you have chosen to do. So I want to thank you. Thank you for agreeing to be on the show again. Thank you for your time, and get some rest. Get some rest.
Oh, I will. Tomorrow's Sabbath. I will be not doing anything.
Tomorrow is
I
Sabbath.
will be resting.
Good
On
for you. Good
Saturdays.
for you. And we enjoy Head Up to Being Brilliant Sign. We want to just remind everyone that we invite you to join us at Being Brilliant, where we honor you and recognize you for the gift that you are, for all of your strengths and talents. And we invite you to come to a place where we are intentional about celebration. We're intentional about celebration. You got a quick statement, Joy, as we close out here?
My only thing that I want to say is that we have to remember that we are brilliant, because if we don't remember that if we don't remember that we're brilliant, we won't shine. So remember that you are brilliant. Clarissa, thank you for being brilliant. Thank you for sharing your brilliance, not only with your boys, but with the rest of the world, with the rest of us, as we get to watch you do all of the things that you do. I'm so excited to see all the things that you have done in the last, what has it been, like 3 years? It has not been that long, but just watching the last couple of years, I've watched you go through a master's degree program. I've watched you with your start 2 businesses and write a book and all of these things, and just continuing to work in your purpose and continuing to inspire people. So as we talk about this idea of being brilliant, continue to be brilliant, continue to let your light shine. And continue to make sure that it is bright enough to share. Make sure that it is bright enough to share. So we're excited. We're excited to have you on tonight, and excited about the way that you have committed to care for yourself. So we know that tomorrow is Sabbath. So get that rest for Sabbath, so that your week can be all that it should be. So again, thank you so much to Clarissa. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And to anyone who is listening, remember, you are brilliant, because if you don't remember, you can't share it with anyone else. That's it.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy. And to our listening audience, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We appreciate your time. I recognize that time is one of the things that we do not get more of. So anytime that you take an opportunity to post, to tune in, whether you post or not, I am tremendously grateful that you have taken that time. And whether or not you're going to listen later, then thank you for your time as well. This has been Dr. Catherine E. James and Dr. Joy P. Creel having conversations around our 9/11 emergency series, where we come to have these relevant conversations about that which is happening right now, and walking out our strengths and being brilliant, knowing that we're amazing and that we've got talent, that we are an answer to what is happening right now in our universe, is the message of the day. Know that you are an answer, and know that you have answers. And even if you can't see how to get 10 feet in front of you, how you can't see how to get perhaps even till next week, start with where you are. Take a step from where you are. If you can't get a mile down the road, you can take 5 steps. And then more than likely, at the end of that 5 steps, you have the ability to take another 5 steps. Do it from your genius. Do it from a place of your strength. Do it from being the gift that you are to God's universe. Have an amazing evening. At the moment in which Abba gave us his breath, we forfeited the right to not be amazing. Talk to you soon.